Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello, my name is V. I post on tutorials every Thursday and Sunday at 8:15 a.m. Central Time. For today's video, we are going to be doing my lovely client Brittany's nails. We are in full holiday season, so we got Halloween, fall, and Christmas nails coming up, and I'm so excited because we have kickstarted that with fall nails, but also Halloween. And that is exactly what we're gonna be doing today for Brittany's nails. We are going to be doing a clear acrylic basic application. And then on top of that, we're gonna be doing some ghost base, very much so bloody vibes. Super excited to share this design with you guys as it is very easy to achieve and it is so freaking cute. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Getting right into today's video, we're going to be starting off by prepping my client's hands. So first and foremost, if you are a beginner when it comes to applying nails, this is a crucial step in your acrylic application process. If you skip this, your nails will pop off. And you want to make sure you are thoroughly doing this, otherwise, again, they will pop off. So if you have been doing your own nails or somebody else's nails and you're noticing that they come off very quickly, you want to make sure you are ensuring etching the surface of the nail very well, all the way up into the cuticle area, all of the sides specifically, and the center and the tip, the whole natural nail. So to do this process, I have my e-file at a speed of about 4,000 RPMs. Along with that, I'm using this really long sanding band and mandrel bit from Profiles Backstage. I like these skinnier ones and definitely recommend them for beginners, especially if you're struggling on getting your prep good. These are really good to get into those hard to reach areas, just like the cuticle area and those side walls. Now, you can always incorporate pushing back the cuticle area first. That should be your first step. I always skip that because I tend to push back the cuticle with this bit. So it exposes a little bit more of that natural nail that I need in order for all the product to adhere. So I always skip that. But if you're a beginner, definitely you can include that in your process. Now, immediately after, we're going to be going in with our tips of choice. These are the Not Polish Universal Tips. They are already shaped in the stiletto shape, and we're going to be leaving them this length for my girl. So I'm taking Young Nails brush on glue, which is my favorite glue, and then I'm going to be adding a little bit of that, applying them onto her natural nail just at the tip of her free edge. And then I do add a little bit more of glue wherever I feel like it's necessary, like specifically on the little sides that tend to pop up, and then I press it down until it is nicely adhered. Now, once we are done with this process, I'm going to be going in with my mandrel bit and sanding band, and we're just going to be blending in those tips. I don't do this every single time that I apply acrylic. However, I felt the need to do it this time, specifically because I'm going to be using clear acrylic. So I'm just taking that same bit that I used, and we're going to go in and just gently buff it in so that it blends a little bit better to her natural nail. Now, immediately after, I'm going to be going in with a lint-free wipe and a little bit of Young Nail Swipe. This is going to help cleanse all of that excess dust, but also dehydrate the nail. Again, this is a crucial step in your prep process. So you could either use a nail dehydrator, which you can purchase separately, or I like to use my Young Nail Swipe because it is a combination of alcohol and acetone. So it's going to dry out that nail bed and remove all those excess oils so that all the products adhere properly. Next, I'm going in with my primer. Again, do not skip this step. This one is from Kiara Sky. There's tons of different ones in the market. You really just have to try whichever ones and then see what works best for you or for your clients. Sometimes I will say that it kind of goes back and forth. I have like 3 that I use. This one, the Not Polished one, and the Young Nails one. So it really just depends on what the client needs for their day-to-day. And then I go with that. And sometimes the nail client will get accustomed to it. So if you notice that their nails start lifting, even though you've been using a primer and it before, you might want to switch to a different one. So that's always a good little tip to give. Now this Kiara Sky one is a little bit more of like a jelly consistency, so it does go on a little bit thick. I am going ahead and prepping this whole hand first, and then when I get ready to apply my acrylic on my other hand, that's when I'm going to apply my primer to the other one. Now for our acrylic application, I always recommend make sure you guys practice your liquid to powder ratio. For this application, I am using my Kiara Sky monomer, and because we're doing such long thick nails, I'm going to be using my Kiara Sky acrylic brush in a size 14 because it is larger and it allows me to pick up bigger beads to speed up the process of my application. Now for shorter nails or smaller hands, I do tend to use a size 10 or 12. Now for my application, again, we're going in with basic acrylic application. Now I have noticed a little bit that the not polish acrylic in clear specifically is a little bit more on the runnier side, so I will be kind of dabbing the back of my brush on my paper towel. This is just gonna drain out the excess monomer so that it doesn't run all over the place when I apply my acrylic on the nail. So I like to work with medium beads even with this big brush, specifically because it allows me to build up the nail perfectly to the thickness that I want it to be. Now once I get up to the cuticle area, I am going in with a small bead, so do note that that is essentially what I go for. Now again, near the cuticle area, I'm showing you guys here how I hold it, tuck in those sides, and then I immediately push it upwards, and then we're just gonna be blending it down. And I am gonna apologize very much in advance because in the next few applications my head does get in the way of the camera, so I'm not able to show you guys the cuticle application for those nails. But if you guys are interested in other videos on other nails, even my practice hand or my other clients or myself, definitely feel free to check out my channel if you are new. If you've been here, I'm sure y'all know the gist. So I'm gonna go ahead with my medium bead. I place it pretty much where the tip is touching the free edge of the nail, and then I kind of bounce it downwards, and immediately we're tucking in the acrylic. As it starts drying, now I'm able to mold it a little bit better, so that's when I'm tapping it downwards and I'm continuously wiping those sides. I can't put an emphasis on that enough because I want to make sure that my shape isn't getting super messed up, but also it's going to keep everything nice and clean, and you're going to be able to keep that acrylic in the center of the nail. Second bead goes right above that one, and then I'm going to be going in, same process, tucking in those sides, making sure that I'm getting all the way in those side walls, and then we're going to be blending it downwards once I have those sides nice and clean. So I always use the tip of my brush and wipe directly down the side of the nail. We're not going upwards, we're not tucking it in, we are simply wiping down. Now it is very important that if you are a beginner, you make sure you avoid the skin and the inner part of that cuticle area because that can cause lifting. So you always want to leave the smallest amount, like very much so minimal, where you can't even tell that there's space between the nail and the cuticle or the skin. That way your nails last a lot longer and they're not lifting immediately. So if you notice that the acrylic is going all over your skin on those sides everywhere, that is probably going to cause the nail to pop right off. If not that day, the next day. So you want to make sure that you are keeping your whole application process super clean. Now, since I am kind of catering a little bit more to my beginner girls or guys in this video, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of the dangers of acrylic, monomer, and all that stuff. Any products that we are using as a nail tech, overexposure is insanely on it, like all-time high. I feel like more and more nail techs are being overexposed to the products that we are using. I'm here to tell you that you can easily avoid that on yourself and on your clients as well. Example number one would be simply putting on some gloves. I made the mistake of not wearing gloves for years when I first started doing nails, and I'm here to tell you, put on your gloves. And as the time went by, I was so used to not wearing gloves, so when I tried to put them on, it would irritate me so much. It is definitely really hard to go from not wearing them to trying to wear them. So if you are a beginner, start wearing them as soon as you start using the products so that you can prevent overexposure on yourself specifically. Now for our clients, we want to make sure that we are minimally touching their skin with the brush. Now I know in some instances we can and we need, just like I'm doing here, have to wipe that acrylic away, whether your client is moving a lot or you're not securing your application. You want to make sure that if you do accidentally twitch and the acrylic goes into the cuticle area, you try to minimize the amount of monomer or the amount of touching you do with your brush on their skin. This can ultimately cause overexposure over time, and if you are a nail lover yourself, I know you know that you never want to have to decide whether you want to keep breaking out with contact dermatitis or doing your nails. So we want to make sure that we are minimizing that fully. I don't think I've ever talked about this enough. I try to give awareness specifically on my TikTok lives because it is crazy the amount of nail techs that I see just wiping the sides of the nail with their bare fingers or the gel with their bare fingers. I used to do that and I got contact dermatitis. Thankfully, it has been resolved. But again, I'm here to tell you from personal experience, just make sure you guys are being aware of all the dangers of the products, educate yourself, and wear your freaking gloves. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this application and then we're gonna get right into our nail art. Now, once everything is nice and dry, we're going to go in with filing. This is always personal preference on the route that you want to take when filing the surface of the nail. I personally have been loving working on my cuticle area and making sure that the acrylic is nice and flush using a 5-in-1 bit, my E-file at a speed of about 12,000 RPMs. And then once I'm done with that process, we're going to be focusing on using a hand file. You can do the whole thing with a hand file, or you could do the whole thing with an E-file, or do a little mixture of both just like I do. Again, it's all personal preference, and I always recommend to do whatever feels best for you, not what somebody else is telling you to do. So again, we're going to be focusing on that cuticle area. My 5-in-1 bit is my favorite to do so because it is nice and tapered at the tip. As you guys can see, it's kind of thicker at the base of it, and then it tapers in. And it's really, really good for getting into those hard to reach areas around the cuticle. And then you can use the thicker side to file the rest of the nail if needed. Now for the rest of the nail, we're going to be using my hand file. Always recommend investing in a really good hand file. A sturdy one is always going to be a game changer when it comes to shaping and getting things nice and crisp. Just like the Tammy Taylor peel and stick file. Absolutely love them. If you've been following me for years, I always mention that in every single one of my videos, and I know that I've put a lot of you on this exact file. But it truly is nice. The little backing part, you can sanitize it perfectly. They are peel and stick, so you could just peel off the used one, sanitize the pink part, and then go in with a new one, and you don't have to worry about it not being super sturdy and it being flimsy and all that good stuff. So I'm going to be going in with my hand file. We're going to be filing those sides, making sure that it is nice and crisp on both sides, and then immediately after I'm going to be filing the surface nicely so that everything is super even, smooth on top, and really just focusing on all of these areas as this is a full set that we are doing. I know sometimes with my fills I don't have to do as intense amount of filing, but because this is a new set, I want to make sure everything is nice and perfect. Now, as shown right here, you always want to make sure that you are pulling back the skin right where you glue the nail tip onto their natural nail. And I always do this, especially on full sets that I am doing from scratch, because sometimes the acrylic or the glue can kind of seep underneath and then the skin attaches. So if I go in and file immediately without pulling that skin back, it can cut them and hurt them. So now I'm going to be going in with a buffer. We're just going to be buffing the surface, making sure everything is nice and smooth. She is actually always takes a bathroom break when we get to this point. So she washed her hands and that way her nails are nice and clean. But if you're lazy like me and the client does not need to use the restroom, you can always just wipe them off and then use a little bit of young nail swipe, which I typically always do even though when they come back from washing their hands, because sometimes the soaps that we use can have a little bit of oils and then the gel products won't adhere. So I'm just making sure that I'm cleaning them nicely. Once I went ahead and cleaned her nails, we're going to be going in with our gel application. This beautiful color is actually from Chaun Legend. I don't have the name, but I will leave it in the description box. And it is so beautiful. She did request clear base with a pink gel polish because her next set is going to require clear nails and she didn't want to mess that up. We tried to only do fills or back fills on her, and since this was a new set, she wanted to make sure she was set for her next one. So we're going in with a thin layer of this as our base first coat, and then we're going to be going in with a second layer. I'm really just slopping it on there, making sure it's covering the whole nail. I don't have a specific application process when it comes to gel. I really just get it on there. As long as it's not seeping over the cuticle area, you shouldn't have too much of a struggle to apply gel, especially with longer nails. It gets a little bit easier. I'm going to go in again with that thin layer, and then we're going to be curing that in the light for a full 60 seconds while I work on the other hand. And then again, we're going to be adding that second layer just to make it a little bit more opaque. Now, as mentioned in the intro, we're going to be doing ghost face and blood designs. So for my design, I'm using a combination of a deeper red jelly polish from Profiles Backstage, and then a little bit of a brighter one just to kind of deepen it up, and some areas kind of grab a little bit more of that darker color. and it really just makes it look super realistic when it comes to like blood drips. So for my nail art brush, I am using the Vita Bella brush. This one is the long liner, and again, if you guys are new to my channel, this is actually my brand, and not to toot my own horn, but these are really good liner brushes. So if you guys have purchased them in the past from us, let us know in the comment section so other people can verify that they are good brushes. But they are double-sided, and I'm just using one of the sides. One is always a little bit thicker and one is a little bit skinnier. So all of our brushes are double-sided, which is nice, and they're really, really good quality. So we're going to be using that to draw the outline of my little ghost face. And then immediately after, I'm going in with that same color to add our little blood drips. Not being super specific with this, I'm kind of changing it up on all of the nails. And then we're even putting the ghost face a little bit lower on some of them and just drooping it a little bit more. So I always, always, always recommend use a 3D brush or an actual cleanup brush for any little areas that might seep into the cuticle area. You want to make sure to remove that as well, because that can cause lifting as well. So for the other hand, I had actually started off with my drips first because I didn't know how I was going to go upon the process of doing ghost face. But then once I figured it out, I was like, okay, I could just add it in there. So the easiest way to do this design was to start off with a one eye socket like little area and then do the other one. And when you do those like two droopy little eyes, then you're able to use the center for the like backwards heart or the upside down heart that's going to create the nose area. And then of course you just add the elongated mouth area to ghost face. So it was actually quite easy. I feel like some of these designs I always overthink, and then when I actually get to it, it's quite simple. So I'm here to tell you, and I've always said this, don't overthink it because you will just make it a little bit harder on yourself. So again, here I'm showing you how I am doing just the eye portion first, and then adding kind of like a little W to create the nose part, and then just the long mouth. Super simple. And then we're adding in those blood drips on all of the nails. And then as always, make sure you cure in the light whenever you feel it is necessary. For these nails, I went in and cured every single nail, specifically because this jelly polish does run a little bit and I didn't want it going anywhere that I didn't intend it to go. So curing it in the light in every single nail to avoid that. Now, of course, we're going to be going in with our top coat of choice. My girl is a smoker, so I want to make sure that her nails are fully protected, and I'm here to tell you that these stain resistant top coats are top tier. For today's video, I'm going to be using the Babe Stain Resistant Top Coat from Profiles Backstage. It is a HEMA-free formula and it goes on there super smooth. I use it on my toes as well when I have white toenails, and it protects them from getting dingy, stained, or anything like that, so highly recommend. I'm going to be going in with a thin layer of that on all of the nails, and then we are going in the light for a full 60 seconds.
This is for my day ones. Don't forget the ones I made, yeah. Deep side sweating out flavor. This is for my day ones, day one. Showed up, day one before the glow up. Don't need ask for them, show love. Don't need ask for them, show love, show love. Izquierda pa' derecha, dale bien pacha. Yo quiero que tú bailes, dale sin parar. Todo mundo, hey, quiero vacilar. Shake it, and I'll throw it right back. Ooh, take it back to when nobody used to know me. Lights down low, I was just chilling with my homies.
But that pretty much concludes today's video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a ton. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
This is for my day one.